Good morning. Welcome to TERRA at Home. I'm here with Natalie from TERRA, and hello, welcome to the show. Okay, so we need to talk about the TLC program.
Yes, we do.
This is a really great program. Obviously, we know people can just come into TERRA, buy their own plant life, do their own thing, and you know, buy a basket that's already done. There are so many different options, but the TLC program is very, very special. So tell me about how this all works.
Well, the TLC program is set up just to help people who don't know what to do at their own homes.
Yes.
A lot of the time they have questions about how to maintain what they already have. They have a blank slate that they need to put plants into, but they just don't know what's going to work. That's where I come in. I go to their homes, we have a conversation about their yards, we walk around, and then basically I can make recommendations, sort of what kind of plants they want based on their design preferences. They end up with a quick sketch and a plant list that they can bring to our stores and buy stuff here.
That's awesome. So I did this last year with you, last fall when I moved into my new place, and so you came to my place, and again it was the same thing. So we just talked about mine, for example, was just my front. So my front area, and we're looking at it, and of course mine's just a complete disaster. There's already you know, plant life there,
and huge trees.
Yes, things are just all out of balance and overgrown. Things grown into each other. Exactly, that type of thing, right? So it's, you know, it's, again, we had some conversations about what we wanted, and you know, we always talk a lot of times on the show about making sure we have the winter scene as well, right? We want to have that as well sometimes, because of course our winters are so long. Sometimes when there's certain plant life that we have in the summer, so beautiful, and then it gets wiped out in the winter, and there's nothing.
Winter interest is really important. The cool thing about winter interest that a lot of people don't know is it's not only evergreens. You could go into grasses. There's some flowers that leave interesting things like black-eyed Susans. They're going to have little pops above the snow that you can see.
So something, yeah, you wouldn't think about that.
You wouldn't think of things like that, but in my courses in my landscape architecture degree, we learned a lot about creating interest from things you wouldn't expect. Dogwood, great red color in the winter, and you don't think of that.
No,
it's
you
just,
don't.
You only picture I want green, but you can get this red and these cool browns, and it just makes a lot of interest in your front yard.
See, and that's the part, again, people need someone like you to give them some advice, right? To take them and guide them, because again, if you're just thinking about planting only the green, which is great in the winter, particularly if you want to put some, you know, some lights on them or something like that, but other areas it's not just that, and then everything's flat or wiped out, right? People kind of think of winter just everything's dead, but it's not.
It's not
necessarily. It can be very pretty too. So again, so we talked about the fact that, you know, sort of looking at some of the things that I was maybe interested personally. So some people do have some ideas of their own, right?
Yes, they do.
And then some people have nothing. So I'm sure, and then you have to just go with it, right? You have to go, okay. So they're like saying, here, just do whatever you think and give me some ideas because I have nothing. And then you took some time and you drew up a full sketch. And you showed me all the plants and everything.
Exactly. I do that for basically everyone I visit. If they don't have any idea and they just say, go ahead, I'm not going to do what I like. I sort of have a conversation with them anyway to figure out what their design style is. What kind of, do they want high maintenance? Do they want low maintenance? Do they want to be out there weeding? Some people like doing that.
True.
Do they want something that's just going to take care of itself? It sort of all depends on the style that they're looking for. And then once I get that information, I can sort of take my plant knowledge and give them the plants that are going to work for them, because not everybody wants the same design, and not everybody likes the same stuff I do.
Well, some people like more of a modern contemporary look, some people, and that even plays along with plant design and everything, right? And of course variation in color and texture and
the
heights, right? Because again, some people will plant everything's growing into each other all the same height, and you don't get to see some of the short little bordering plants and things like that.
And it's important not to overcrowd your garden too. Some people just get really interested in having all kinds of plants in their garden, and you can't see the forest for the trees because there's too many.
I think that's a hard balance for people too, is not overplanting. Because they start so small, some of these little plants, right? And you put them in at the time, everything looks spaced out so nicely, and then all of a sudden,
it's just overgrown,
right?
There's a lot of people that I've gone to that they call me in because their yard is so overgrown. They've really overplanted, and they just want me to take a look and say, okay, this is recoverable. This one you're going to have to take out. This you can move over here. But yeah, I've seen a lot of overgrown yards.
Or planting too close to the house,
planting too close to the house. The big evergreens that people like, yeah, they they start out cute and little, but they get big.
And they grow fast, especially like a blue spruce or something. They grow big and fast, and they will take over your whole front yard, won't they? So you have to be careful with that. Okay, so how would somebody, what are the steps people need to take to have you come in?
There are a few different ways they can do it. They can go into one of our stores and go up to the Solution Center and talk to the people who work there, and they'll actually fill out a form, which gets sent off to me.
Okay.
Or they can go to terragreenhouses.com and click on the little Need a Little TLC link. It's right up at the top. I think the button's red.
Okay.
And fill out the online form, and that gets emailed right off to me.
Great.
And then usually within 48 hours of me receiving the form, I give them a call, we set up an appointment, and I come right to their house.
Great. Okay, so we're now at the stage where you've drawn the sketch out, you've talked to the person, and we've agreed upon, okay, I like this. What happens after that?
So basically they can take their sketchbook, which is what I have right here. This is what you get your design in. You bring this into the store, and all of our people who work in our nursery and perennials and annuals department are very knowledgeable, and they can help you go through the list and pick out the plants that I've written down, and you can bring them home and plant them in. Wow. Now if you need a little bit of help with that, you can usually get a contractor to come out, give you a hand, but usually the designs are straightforward enough and to scale that you could just put it in by yourself.
And that's the thing, so a lot of people are unsure of, okay, so obviously when they come here, they have, this is great, you're like, here, help me with this. And so you guys will help pick out all the plants, make sure they have what's listed there. And then of course any other additional knowledge for planting and feeding and that type of thing, right?
I usually give any advice that they would need on the spot. So before I leave, I make sure that they completely understand their plan. So I'm not just throwing all these plants at them. They know that to plant this tree, they're going to have to do this. To plant this shrub, they're going to have to fertilize it with this.
Okay.
In this book, there's also some information at the back about how to care for certain plants, a whole bunch of lists of plants that say you get to the store and you see this beautiful flower I recommended, but it's just not for you.
Right.
You can go through the list in your book and find one that would fit in that situation.
That's actually a great idea, because that's right. I mean, and I know that you actually showed me some pictures of what the plant looks like in color, in bloom. So really that gives you a better idea, because obviously your sketches are amazing and it looks so good, but to see the actual plant helps people too as well for color, as you say, and you're seeing a lot of times you're seeing color change, which is so cool. Again, it's all part of that interest. As plants grow through the summer, into the fall, into the winter, they do change a lot. Some certain plants, right? So
I get a lot of requests for that too, where they want something that's interesting from spring all the way through till winter starts. So you have to change things up in the garden. So this is going to be really cool in May. This one's going to be really cool in August.
You have to know your stuff, eh, Natalie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff.
That way, because this plant might be a little boring at this point, but this one's doing something, having a big party over here, and then
this one's got lots of flowers, and that one's just green. And
Very cool. Well, again, this is very helpful. So the TLC program at all our trail locations, right?
Yes.
And again, very helpful, and you can meet Natalie's smiling little face. All right, thank you so much. We'll be back with more Terra at home. When I dream in color. When I think of color, I think of Terra. Make your dreams come true at Terra, where color lives.
Heritage Perennials. Look for us in the blue pots.
Good morning, welcome back to Terra at Home. I'm here with registered dietitian Carol Harrison, and you are representing the egg farmers of Ontario today.
Yes, that's right.
And I have to tell you, I am a big fan of eggs. I love them. I eat them every day because I actually really do love them. So we have lots of ideas for eggs today, but we want to talk about the benefits of eggs and why we should incorporate them into our diet.
Yeah, well, one of the big new things a lot of people don't realize is that new research is showing we've been underestimating protein requirements throughout the entire lifespan. So kids, teenagers, adults, older adults, and the meal that gets most shortchanged is breakfast. A great opportunity to have eggs.
Absolutely, and I understand, you know, a lot of times women are very shortchanged in the protein department specifically. For some reason, women seem to shy away from protein more than men. So this is a great way to get it into your system. So you have some good ideas for us here today.
So 3 typical breakfasts that are all right breakfasts, but are shy on protein. So for example, oatmeal with milk and a pear, some berries, it really is a great breakfast, but from a protein point of view, it's about 10 grams too short of protein. We're looking for about 20 to 30 grams per meal. So if you added those walnuts on there, you're adding 3 grams of protein there, a hard cooked egg.
And get him on there.
There you go. Then that's going to add another 6 grams. So we're up to our 20 grams of protein. That's very simple.
And when you think about it, a lot of times, you know, bodybuilders and fitness experts will incorporate egg whites even right into their oatmeal. They'll mix it right in there. So we're kind of doing that, but in a more tasteful manner.
Yeah,
we don't have to do it that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
And you know, those hard cooked eggs, they keep for a week in the fridge, which is great. So on a Sunday, I'll cook a whole dozen hard cooked eggs. Great for grab and go, which is our next breakfast.
And generally, kids really love them too. A lot. Kids love eggs generally. So let's try that out. Okay, so this is what we would see as an okay breakfast.
Okay, breakfast, grab and go. So that might be in, say, in a yogurt in a container. So what I would suggest, you're going to be getting about 8 grams of protein here. And again, we're looking for 20 to 30. So if we had a few hard cooked eggs in the fridge, I would say a good swap would be granola bar out, 2 eggs in, and if you don't mind swapping those yogurts, you're swapping regular yogurt, which has got 4 grams of protein, for Greek yogurt, which has got 8.
Wow.
So now we're up to 20.
And this is
that's very simple.
And this is a great, again, a great lunch. This is something great to take to the office with you. Hard-boiled eggs are great, and we know that combination with the apple. That's great. Lots of protein and a good balanced meal.
Eggs are Mother Nature's multivitamin. You mentioned about the egg whites, and I thought a lot of people don't realize, it's very interesting, half the protein is actually in the yolk, and almost all the vitamins and minerals. And so if you're only eating the white, you're not getting all the vitamins and minerals in the yolk.
And that was the thing, you know, people were all concerned about, oh, should I not be eating the yolk right now? But we discovered that actually eat the whole egg because you're getting so many benefits from everything, every part of it.
Yeah, healthy adults can have 7 eggs a week. It's not increasing the risk for heart disease. Really not an issue.
Very good.
Another quick egg breakfast, 2 eggs beaten up with 2 tablespoons of milk in the microwave a 1.5 minutes, and that's scrambled eggs.
This is easy, and I make them for my son a lot this way, and he loves them. We actually, funny enough, at night we decide, and I'm not just saying this, but we talk about eggs every night before the next morning because we decide which way we're going to cook them. And it's a discussion, even last night, how are we going to have our eggs tomorrow morning? And it's either going to be in the microwave, or this morning was a request for soft boiled, and there's literally so many ways that you can have them, but they are so good and so fast this way.
Add extra eggs to your French toast, your pancakes, that's some other ideas as well. I've got 3 kids, I love to send them off to school with eggs for breakfast. I know they'll last till lunch. Because eggs provide hunger curbing protein. That's what keeps us feeling full from one meal to the next. So this coffee shop breakfast would be a meal that would not keep you feeling full from breakfast to lunch. So, and only about 6 grams of protein. And if you are going to a coffee shop, I would say instead of going for the 400-calorie muffin, go for, you know, about a 300-calorie egg muffin sandwich. It's one of the better choices. Swap your coffee for a latte. That's an extra 8 grams of protein because of the milk. And now you're up to 20 plus grams of protein, and actually maybe if you've got a banana from home, always balance it out with fruit. That's a great choice, and it's actually fewer calories than this breakfast.
See, go figure, and again, you're going to be way more full.
That's right.
From that than this.
Because if you didn't have the egg, you'd probably want another muffin at 10 o'clock in the morning.
And there you go. And then all of a sudden you have 800 calories of nothingness.
That's right.
Okay, so you have an idea of something that we can actually make at home. And again, it's a good grab and go because you can throw them in your freezer afterwards.
Throw them in your freezer. They last for 3 days in the fridge. This is vegetable and cheese muffin frittatas. Kids like things they can hold.
Yes.
Very easy to make. I love that there's lots of vegetables in this. And so we're using eggs that are coming from farms here in Ontario. All the eggs that you buy at the grocery store are coming from farms in Ontario, and they only take about 3 to 7 days to get from the farm to the grocery store, so they're always fresh.
Always fresh.
And the nice thing about buying eggs is that you're supporting local farmers in our rural communities, which is really important.
And you're saying how hard our egg farmers work, so you know it's great about, again, we want to support our local farmers in every capacity, so this is the easiest way. And it boosts our
economy as well, so everyone benefits. So here's the great recipe. A cup and a half of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 4 eggs, 3/4 of a cup of milk is going to go in there. Whisk that all together. So all really wholesome, fantastic ingredients. Look at all these vegetables here that have already been cooked up.
So again, you're saying it's a great way to sneak in, because these would be perfect to put in your kids' lunch. Great way to sneak in some very tiny little vegetables in there and trick them.
Well, and you can ask them if they want to help make it, because if they're involved in making it, they're more likely to try it. Now this looks really thick, and you're going to think, oh my gosh, it's not supposed to look that way. It is supposed to look that way, and it works.
Good to know.
Oops. Isn't that terrible when that happens? Okay. So what we're going to do is just plunk that in there for now, and we'll get our vegetables in there, and I'll just use...
Okay, so you said zucchini and onions and red peppers?
Yes, zucchini, red pepper, onions, and even a tomato. So there's 4 vegetables in there, 2 cups of Swiss cheese. So you see those vegetables are adding a lot of moisture.
Yes.
The cheese is going to add a lot of flavor and calcium and even more protein, and if you like, a little bit of parsley, it's always optional. Some fresh herbs are always nice, but you can use whatever you have in the fridge. You have little leftover bits of different kinds of cheese, you can use them, some different leftover vegetables. And watch how easy this is then. We're just going to always spray your paper.
Yeah, you definitely want to spray one of these, don't you?
Or you will be, having a hard time getting these eggs off.
Use a half. This up for you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Okay, so 1/2 cup goes in there, and these are going to bake 425 for about 10 minutes. And there you have a dozen little mini muffin frittatas, breakfast, lunch, dinner, brunch, even a snack to help you tie you over from after school until dinner time.
And that's the thing. I mean, there are so many easy ways to incorporate eggs into our diet. We're already looking at some of the options here, but really, as you're saying, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you can find ways. I mean, a lot of times, you know, the whole campaign for a while was having breakfast for dinner, right? Because you can have eggs.
That's right. I call it Brinner in my house. I just say, Brinner, it's a breakfast for dinner.
Right, it is. But again, it's that protein, as you say, like when you eat an egg for breakfast, it is amazing how it does fill you for such a long period of time.
It helps you to keep a healthy body weight protein. You know, the other thing to keep in mind as well is if you want more recipes, you can go to the Egg Farmers of Ontario's website. So eggfarmersofontario.ca. There's tips and ideas on how to microwave eggs, how to hard-cooked eggs, and other great recipe ideas.
And that's perfect, and that's exactly what we need. And again, just remember, we talk about the fact that breakfast is the most important meal of the day because it is how you're going to sort of set your day off, right? So you want to set off on the right foot, and it is such an easy way, and there are so many different ways to prepare eggs that you can find something that suits you and works for you. So I know as a registered dietitian, this is, you must love eggs. You must think they're pretty
Mother
special.
Nature's multivitamin.
They are.
I am very happy to support and promote eggs and the great local food produced by farmers that work really hard for
thank you.
us.
Registered dietitian Carol Harrison, we appreciate you coming on the show. That's it for now. We'll have more Terra at Home. When I dream in color. When I think of color, I think of Terra. Make your dreams come true at Terra, where color lives.
You've sat under them and built forts in them. You've swung from them and fell out of them. You've even fallen in love under them. Trees have always held a special place in our hearts and memories. A natural beauty, trees will grow with you and your family and bring color and nature into your world. For your assurance of quality, look for trees and shrubs with the Medallion plant tag. Medallion plants, locally grown, the pride of Niagara. Good morning, welcome back to Terra at Home. We're in the kitchen again today with Chef Mark from La Piazza Allegra, and nice to have you on the show again.
Thank you.
Preparing something in our kitchen for us, and of course everybody can always go to your restaurant and visit you as well. Yes. You've been there for quite some time now, haven't you?
We've been there 17 years.
Yeah, good for you.
So it's been a long stretch.
So you've got some good experience. Again, let's just describe a little bit for people your restaurant and where your flavors come from and your cooking style.
The style that I work with is obviously Italian based, but I take some traditional recipes, things I grew up with, things that my grandparents had made, stuff like that, and put modern twist. More what you would find if you go to Italy, especially in the northern part or very southern Italy, where they have influences from other countries, and now they're embracing it.
Okay.
I mean, you're still going to have the argument, you know, this section of Italy's food is better than that one.
Yeah,
But,
it seems like that there's always this ongoing, isn't it? Yeah, they really are. Like my Italian friends are always fighting between the north and the south.
Oh, yes.
Right, but that's the nature of the game. So with that comes some of the, you know, again, obviously, as you say, the Italian influences, but with modern twists. So today we're working with scallops.
Yes.
What is the dish we're making?
We're doing a appetizer, and what we're doing is some seared sea scallops. We're going to do it with a gorgonzola cream sauce, and then we're just going to balance the whole dish out with a little bit of lemon, because it is a fairly rich dish. I mean, you have scallops, which are very sweet in nature. You have gorgonzola cream, which is very savory, and then you add some 18% cream to make the sauce out of it. So a lot of rich flavors. When you zest that lemon on there, it just balances the whole thing out for you.
And that's interesting. We've talked about this before, where you're trying to find all these different flavor components. It's very, very important for a chef. You just know what works, and you know that you need to have that little bit of acidity to try to take away something that's maybe a slightly heavy or sweet, as you say. So just trying to balance and have a good foundation for a dish. And people, a lot of times, the average person doesn't realize why it tastes so good, but it's because you've thought of all the elements.
Yeah, you have to go through it, because I mean, the one thing you're looking for is you want your taste buds to really pop, and the way that happens is when all of them are being triggered. Right. So that's when we build a dish. That's exactly what we're trying to do.
Okay. All right. So with scallops, they actually cook quite quickly, don't they?
These are fairly quick, and that's the one thing that people make mistakes. They overcook them, and they become very, very tough.
Yes,
and you don't want tough scallops.
No. Okay.
Now, when you're looking for scallops and you want to buy scallops, there are two kinds. You get them wet pack or dry pack. Okay. The dry pack are the ones I prefer. The reason being, they are frozen, okay? But what happens is they're picked fresh, cultivated fresh, and then they get frozen right away. Where the wet pack are put in a preservative solution, and then you have to rinse them and stuff like that. So I prefer the non-preservative.
Yes, I like the flash frozen version.
Or you can always go down south where the divers jump in, grab them for you, and then away you
go.
You
really
that's the best.
That's the best. But given where we are right now, we're not yanking them out of Lake Ontario. Let's just go with these frozen ones.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we have them. There are sea scallops now. They come in different sizes. These are a fairly large one. Okay, they'd be 10 to 20 per pound, so you can see the larger one versus the smaller ones. There's probably about 10 of those or 20 of those per pound. Okay. Yep. So to start the sauce itself, we're going to use some butter. Okay, we have some unsalted butter. I'm going to put that into my pan.
So you're making the sauce separate from the scallops, right? Because you're going to be searing the scallops.
And I'm going to brown up some butter in the pan that I'm doing the scallops with.
All right.
Now, with the sauce, I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. And now we're going to put in our scallops once that browns up. And this will help them stop sticking when you got a nice hot pan like this. Okay. And lay them all down and let them go. We have our gorgonzola, which we're going to throw into the pan. Yeah, we'll put quite a bit.
Cheese, a little butter.
Exactly.
Yummy.
Cheese, butter, all the good stuff. And we're just going to let that melt and mix around until it softens up a little bit. We're going to salt the scallops. I have some white pepper. This will retain the color. Put a little pepper in that, a pinch of salt. You don't need a lot of salt in this because you do have that cheese which already has a natural amount of salt content.
Right.
So we're going to melt that.
It's funny how chefs are so particular about using, a lot of times you don't want the black, the specks from a black pepper, so you use a white pepper. It's funny, we as the average, consumer would not really notice, but it's something that, because you guys are technically making almost art on a plate, and you're eating with your eyes first, right?
That's right.
It does become, it's something that we take for granted, I guess. It's because you guys are making note of it.
It is. It is something that, when you're doing a cream soup or something like that at home, if you have that white pepper there, it just keeps everything looking nice and white. It doesn't change the color. And like you said, people eat with their eyes first. So, I mean, their initial reaction is going to be what their almost sensory perception will be of the dish itself.
Right.
So
that's why food photography is so important as well, right? Because it really is hard to take a good picture of food. It doesn't do it justice sometimes. You have to have the proper lighting, and it has to be plated well. And sometimes food can look very, very, very bad in a picture. If you, and you're like, wait a minute, that should not have come across that way.
That's right.
So look at that nice sear, right?
You're getting some caramelization on the bottom of that, and that's what we're looking for. Scallop should come up fairly easy from your pan.
Okay.
And then we're going to sear the other side. Now, when you put it up, flip it over, obviously when we first put them in, this pan was extremely hot.
Yes.
So it has cooled off a little bit, so it's going to take a little bit longer on this side to get that nice color. But this is what you're looking for. You do want something that really comes together nicely.
You've done this before, huh?
Once or twice. So here's the cream sauce. Now the only thing you have to be careful is you don't want this to burn.
Right.
So you're going to keep that on a low simmer. Keep moving it around, okay? And if you find that it's too thick, add a little bit more cream. If it's not thick, enough, you can add a little bit more cheese to it.
Okay. That's actually a pretty nice, straightforward sauce, though, right? I mean, because you're getting so much flavor from the cheese itself.
Exactly. There, sometimes, like I said in the past, cooking isn't that difficult. Just use good ingredients. Start off that way, and then
good ingredients.
Make a couple combinations.
Absolutely. So, how do you know when your scallops are cooked? Is it's more of a visual thing? Or
you have to look at them. When you start seeing it cooking up the side, you'll see it creeping up the side.
Okay.
Okay, and then you have to touch
more of
them
that
as
white
well.
coming up, right, from the sides.
Right. And then you give them a little touch, and they should still have a spring to them.
Okay.
But you don't want them firm.
Very good. Okay, what we'll do is we're going to take a quick break,
Sure.
and we're going to come back, and we're going to plate this lovely appetizer dish. We'll be right back. When I dream in color. When I think of color, I think of TERRA. Make your dreams come true at TERRA, where color lives. Welcome back to TERRA at Home. We're back with Chef Mark, and we're finishing up our scallop dish because it prepares oh so quickly.
It does.
So those are looking good. They smell great, and they do shrink up a little bit, right?
They do. Yeah. There's a certain amount of, obviously being a seafood, a certain amount of water content that comes with them, so they are going to shrink a little bit, but it's an appetizer. It's not your main entree.
Right.
I mean, you can always turn something like this into more of an entree if you want to do a pasta or something like that.
I was going to say with that sauce and that.
Oh, yes.
Boy. Deadly. And again, as we were talking about presentation and eating with your eyes first, so it's
so we'll just
always nice to have that nice white plate as a backdrop.
Yeah, we'll do a little pattern on the plate there. Okay. Then we have that sauce, and all I did is I turned it off. I turned the heat off about 30 seconds ago, just so it slows down. You want it to combine again, where if it's got too much heat going on, the sauce will want to separate. So it's combined back for you. Okay. And we're just going to spoon a little bit on each scallop.
Just remind everybody that you can find this recipe and along with all of our other recipes at terragreenhouses.com. And or you could just go to the restaurant and let you prepare it.
So we'll talk about the recipe.
That's right. You can chat and say, "Hey, Mark, come up to my table."
And then we got our microplaner, which gives a nice zest. It's a little bit different than your regular zester. It's not as big pieces that you would get out of it. You just want a little bit of that acidity on that dish.
It's amazing how much a little bit of zest can make a difference, though. Sometimes you don't think that's going to actually, but it does. It has
it really does cut down on the amount of fat and stuff like that, or it just gives it a little bit lighter flavor. We have some pea shoots because they're nice and sweet. It goes along very well with the
and
scallops.
That's something you can do at home, just to add and just make things look so pretty at home, is just by taking the little tips that you guys do to make things look so wonderful, adding a few pea shoots, and look how beautiful that is.
That's it.
It's a beautiful spring dish. Very, very nice. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank
Chef
you.
Mark from La Piazza Allegra. And that is it for TERRA at Home. Have yourself a fantastic weekend.